there's something really to be said about the progressive left's insanity. Now, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting different results, but doing the exact same thing. Now, how does this play into what's going on around the world? Well, we see that taking place in different localities and states within the United States ourselves, but it's also happening to our alleged friends. And the reason why I put friends in air quotes is because we're talking about Canada. Because Canada put Carney as their prime minister. So now he's front and center. So the left in Canada got rid of the nut job before, and now they put in another nut job expecting something different. It's like these people are hitting their heads against a wall going, hey, let's get rid of a leftist to put in another leftist so that we don't get leftist ideas and policies and that we expect something to change. And then watch, I'm telling you, just give me some time here. Clip it if you need to. We're usually right. They're going to moan and complain about Carney that they just voted in. We'll get there, folks. It's good to see all you patriots in the chat. Let me know if I'm right or wrong, but hell, we saw the same thing with Chicago. They got rid of Mayor Lori Lightfoot because they were upset of how she was running the show, even though she was doing exactly what they wanted, exactly what they voted her in to do. And then they put in Johnson. And what does Johnson do? He does the exact same thing that his constituents wanted, that they voted him in for, and they got all upset about it. How often do we say this is not working? Hasn't been working for a long time. Oh, that coffee's good. It just hits different. You know, it hits different. The definition of insanity, absolutely correct. Well, here we go, folks. Hit that like button if you haven't already. It really does support the show. And I wouldn't ask you to do it if I didn't think that it would. But damn, it's good to be back. A second day in the row. Vacation again was nice. A lot of people were asking me yesterday, how was it? It was good. It was good. But I'll be honest, I missed you guys and I missed doing the show, but let's jump into it because we got a lot of news to cover. We're doing Dark MAGA podcast tonight, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, it's going to be open to everybody. It's going to be open to everybody. All right, here we go. So here's the election. Here's the Carney Awards. Carney vows Trump will never break us after win as a rival Pierre basically set to lose the seat. So you have here, let's see if I get rid of her. There it is. It says here, Canada's Mark Carney and his Liberal Party have claimed a remarkable election victory following a campaign dominated by Donald Trump's trade war and in the aftermath of a deadly car ramming attack in Vancouver. So what people are saying is because Donald Trump is pushing this trade war with Canada and wanting to make Canada the 51st state, and Pierre looks more like Donald Trump than Carney does. The Canadians allegedly don't like Donald Trump. Well, let's put forth Carney because he's the least Donald Trump person out there. That is stupid, by the way. If you are a Canadian and you voted for Mark Carney, I'm on the air right now calling you an idiot. You're a dumbass. Somebody has to tell you that. I'm not saying Pierre is even like Trump, but again, you got rid of the guy before that's just like Mark Carney. God, these people are idiots. I don't know what it is. It's the wildest thing to me. If Donald Trump was doing things I didn't like, do you think I would vote for him? Or do you think I would not vote for him? Just because somebody has an R next to their name doesn't mean I'm beholden to them, doesn't mean I'm going to bend over backwards and take it from them all the time. I don't understand people's thinking. Is this the greatest example of us living in a simulation, patriots? I don't know. While it's still unclear whether the party will win an outright majority of the 343 seats in the Canadian Parliament, it marks an impressive turnaround given the Conservatives were ahead in the polls by double digits a few months ago. Conservative leader Pierre, who actually wanted to win, by the way, also appears to set loose his own seat after early congratulating Mr. Carney on the Liberals' election win. In his victory speech in Ottawa, Carney declared that President Trump is trying to break us so America can own us. That will never, ever happen. Okay. remember, Canada just has a lot of land. They don't even have a lot of people. There's more people, or used to be actually, more people in the state of California than there did in the entire country of Canada. It's really weird to me when you get these small nations that puff out their chest like they're somebody on the world stage when they're absolutely nobody. Now, I'm not saying I want to go to war with anybody, but this is what happens when you haven't had a big war or somebody hasn't had their ass kicked in a long time. How do I know this? I was a hockey player. When you run your mouth and you puff out your chest because you haven't been in a fight in a while or actually never been in a fight, well, those types of people are the people that puff out their chest and run their damn mouth. Well, the moment they get their ass kicked, they learn really quick of, wow, there's somebody else out there that is bigger and tougher than me. Maybe I should just shut up every once in a while. Canada hasn't had their you-know-what pushed in quite some time. So what are they doing? They're puffing out their chest and they're running their mouths because they think they're bigger than a lot of people. And somebody in some time throughout history is going to push their you-know-what in, and they'll learn really quick. Am I asking for Canada to go to war? Absolutely not, but the left will spin it, right? These are the same people that were calling out Donald Trump's blue suit, but couldn't actually look at a larger image and see that there was 25 plus other people wearing blue suits. So that's why I have to reiterate certain things, folks. It's not for you. Please understand that. Y'all get it in the chat. I'm fully aware that I'm preaching to the choir right now, but there's a lot of people out there that really don't have their head on straight. I mean, it is so far up their tushy. It is stinky. Well, let's get into a little bit of other news here. Donald Trump's first 100 days is looking pretty good to me. Now, there's some things I don't think he's doing amazing on. Now, he has the border secure. That was what we wanted. We got what we wanted, which is awesome. Perfect. Now I'm being a little bit greedy. The other part of that was massive deportations. Hasn't exactly been doing that to the level that was promised. Now, again, it was probably more of an expectation thing for me where you, Tom Homan, were making it seem like we're going to be seeing 10,000 people a day. Now, I did go on the air and say that wasn't really possible, but it was wishful thinking, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I was expecting, at least try to do it. But he's not. So you have the White House has placed roughly, I absolutely love this, and we'll cover this more in Dark MAGA podcast tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join us. It's open to everybody. The White House has placed roughly 100 posters of deported illegal aliens and their various criminal offenses in plain view of the White House lawn to highlight the administration's efforts to secure the border and deport illegal aliens, prioritizing individuals with particularly serious criminal histories. So, you know that there's always those interviews that the media do where it has the White House in the background and you kind of see the lawn. It's literally just a driveway, and they have a bunch of tents set up where they have their cameras and all the outlets are at. And what they did was they lined the grass with, you know, those people that have like for rent signs that they stick into the grass, or they always do like those elections, like vote for somebody, and they just plant like the piece of cardboard right there in the grass. Well, they did this with their images that they always show us on the White House press briefings. And so the media have no choice but to have it behind them when they're doing their interviews or they're broadcasting some sort of news out there to the American people. It's freaking, it's genius. It's genius. I started in Border Patrol in 1984. Border Czar Tom Homan said in a White House press conference on Monday, which we'll be covering today. I've been at this for almost 40 years. I've worked with 6 presidents. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of the nation who came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. Now, President Trump and this administration, the success is unprecedented. Border numbers are at historic low. And this is why I don't listen to anything not only the media has to say, but really any Democrat out there, because they allowed for this invasion to happen and they were ecstatic about it. They were stoked to see 340,000 children sold off into sex slavery and forced trafficking, slave trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, the whole bit, the whole gambit was happening. Americans were dying. 250,000 Americans were dying. They love this stuff. I keep saying it, but nobody believes me, I feel like. I live in a leftist, Democrat-dominated state. I've seen it my entire life. They thrive on watching homeless people defecate in the street. They thrive on this stuff. They want them out there, folks. They give them syringes. They give them drugs and alcohol. What's the reasoning for it? They said, this is not my words, not my thinking. They came out and said, we need to give them alcohol because if we don't, they're going to start having withdrawals. If we don't give them drugs, they're going to have withdrawals. They're going to impact our hospital system, our emergency system. And we just can't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed their addiction. We're actually going to give them safe spaces to do it, and they'll be better off for it. This is the psycho freaking thinking of these people. These are the same people that will take your money and send it to transition mice around the world. They'll create Sesame Street for Iraq. They're insane, you guys. We have a problem here in our country. Canada has a problem too. I know you know this. There's people that are, we've normalized this shit. We've normalized it. That's what it is. I'm just going to cut it out. We've normalized it. It's a problem. It's not going to change. And that's why I don't even know if Donald Trump can do it in 4 years. This is a multi-generational issue. This is not something somebody just flips on a light switch and fixes in 4 years, folks. This is a multi-decade, maybe for the rest of our life problem that's going to take the fix. Why? Because you have this, for a lot of Americans, their head is just not on straight. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to critically think. I'm aware that my show's biased. It is right-leaning. I get that. But at least I don't lie to you all. God, save money. Put money in retirement. Let's not go into debt. How about we don't allow murderers in our country? How about we don't allow terrorists in our country? How about we don't send our money everywhere else when we're 36 going on to $37 trillion in debt? That sounds pretty level-headed. That sounds pretty forward-thinking and straight level thinking. And if that's even a word, I don't know. But you understand what I mean. So border crossings are down big time. Democrats position themselves for 2028. They're really working hard here. What I think they're trying to do is sample who is going to make the biggest splash. What do I mean by that? Is you look at Gavin Newsom doing his podcast. He's going out there doing interviews. That's one way for them. And they're doing polling behind the scenes. They're just not releasing the information to you. They're going out polling on these people. You know, what is the public's perception, Americans' perception, specifically the Democrat Party and independents, on Gavin Newsom? Well, they're doing the same thing with AOC and Bernie Sanders. So what happens when I don't take a swig every once in a while? My voice will cut out. Well, that's why they're going around doing these stadiums, right, where they're busing people in the same way they did with Kamala Harris. And what I expect to see probably in about a year and a half, it might happen sooner, is Kamala Harris coming out of the woodwork again. Public perception changes after a while. She'll be liked by the Democrats. Oh, she's so great. We miss her. Oh, first elected woman in office. Something like that. And we have to hear that crap again. Well, there's a Democrat lawmakers are stepping up their rhetoric against President Donald Trump, one a presidential frontrunner being accused of inciting violence against Republicans. Here we go. Following the election, the biggest question for lawmakers on the left was whether they should work to find common ground with Trump and Republicans or oppose their every move. Well, gee, which one do you think they went with? Which one do you think the media and the Democrat Party are doing right now? They're opposing his every move. Literally every move. They're even opposing him securing the border. Let that one sink in. One of the main jobs of the President of the United States is to execute, hence the executive branch. Welcome, Democrats. Welcome, you lefty liberals. Execute the laws on the books. Guess what? If you don't like the law, just change it. And this was the remarkable thing to me, the fact that Democrats had all three branches of government when Joe Biden entered into office. You could have just changed the law and made open, but you could have done anything, actually. You could have just, like overnight, you could have just changed the country, and they didn't do it. They just wanted to circumvent it and say, well, the law's there. We're trying to secure the border. It's a situation and a challenge, but we'll get it done. Then when they didn't get it done in 4 years, because that's never the agenda in the first place, the agenda was to allow 10 plus million illegal aliens to pour across our border, including terrorists, sex traffickers, drug traffickers, the whole gambit. And then to get them to vote Democrat. And then they go, what was their campaign? Well, just give us 4 more years to figure it out. Now, that would have been 4 more years of another 10 to 15 million people entering your country. That's insane. Can you imagine competing with 25 million illegal aliens for goods and services? Can you imagine the cost of that? I told you in Biden's 4 years, it would cost you $1 trillion. $1 trillion for illegal aliens. I got to get the other news here. We'll cover more of this stuff later on, but the last bit was the judiciary versus the executive branch, and you're seeing what's playing out right now. We covered it a little bit yesterday, where they're just going out, having these rogue judges blocking Donald Trump. Well, in other news here, which is very good, you have Sally, geez, Louise, Brad, who is Sally? Is that Josh Hawley's name now? Sally? What's going on, everybody? If you see me looking over here, that means I'm reading the chat. I see y'all, folks. I see y'all. Oh, look, getting the antsy. Oh, boy. Josh Hawley reintroduced the Anti-Corruption Pelosi Act on Friday. I love the name of it. The guy's a genius. He really is. Aiming to ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks while President Trump signaled he would sign such legislation into law. I think this is a good move. If you look at Nancy Pelosi's wealth over the time that she's always been in office, it's just gone through the roof. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. You're not batting perfect. So something shady's going on. I think we all know there's insider trading. I think we all know what's happening here. The legislation, whose acronym Pelosi stands for Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments. It's perfect. You know, I'm not one for these lawmakers and congressmen and all these people to come up with these stupid acronyms like, oh, it's LEAF, LEAF, or something stupid like that. There's always an acronym, right? Something like has to be oh so bougie. This is good. This is really good. It's called Pelosi. And is named after former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, whose husband has drawn scrutiny for millions in suspected insider trading. Members of Congress should be fighting for the people they were elected to serve, not day trading at the expense of their constituents. Americans have seen politician after politician turn a profit using information not available to the general public. It's time we ban all members of Congress from trading and holding stocks and restore America's trust in our nation's legislative body. They're supposed to be out there representing us, but who are they really representing? Themselves, the lobbyists, and everybody else that's giving them money. That's all politics is nowadays. It's whoever's giving them the money. And those are the people they're going to serve. Money makes people walk. I don't even think there should be lobbying. I think lobbying should be outlawed. I think lobbying should be against the law. That's what I meant to say. But it's morning. I'm still waking up a little cross-eyed right now. I feel like is this how Joe Biden feels, just all fuzzy and brain's not functioning properly? It's really tough to live like this. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, smash that like button. It really does help, folks. It's the thumbs up on your phone. Most of you watch on your cell phones or listen to me on your cell phones. If you just take a moment to hit that like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Under Hawley, proposed elected officials and their spouses would be barred from owning individual stocks while serving in Congress. The legislation will still allow investments in broader financial instruments such as mutual funds, ETFs, and treasury bonds. That's what I do like where Hawley's head was at on this one, is because when you're talking about somebody's spouse, you might be in Congress, but your spouse might be working in the corporate world. So your spouse can't invest in the corporate world. They can't have a 401k, 403b, maybe invest in which would be mutual funds, ETFs, and some bonds, diversified portfolio. I just don't think that's fair to them. But I don't like the way that Congress has been doing insider trading. I think we all know what's happening. I really do. I think we all know what's happening. And obviously, they're not going to admit it, right? They don't even admit the fact that they allowed 10 million illegal aliens to come across the border, and they're still using the mainstream media. Now, what's wild regarding the mainstream media is there was the numbers that came out, and they found the proportion of negative versus positive news coverage on Donald Trump, and it's what you can imagine. And when I was seeing this title yesterday, you have to think about it has to be at this point, it's been 100 days, more than 100 days, right? If we were to take into consideration, even going back to 2016, how much money the mainstream media has spent going against Donald Trump. You are talking to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars the mainstream media as a apparatus has spent to go against Donald Trump. According to data compiled by the Media Research Center, 92% of the major network media coverage throughout the first 100 days of Donald Trump's second term has been negative. You are talking just in the first 100 days, billions of dollars spent to go against one man. And his numbers are kind of declining right now in terms of approval. How could they not when it's nothing but negative coverage about somebody? They're trying to change the public perception. They're trying their best to craft these hoaxes and these false narratives against this guy. His numbers are still pretty good. For how much money they've spent on this and doing wall-to-wall negative coverage of this guy, man, he's doing pretty well. MRC looked at coverage across 3 major broadcast companies, ABC, CBS, and NBC. The reason why this is important is because these are the ones you don't necessarily pay for. These are kind of like those they used to have a term for the type of channel they were back in the day, but it's one the channels that everybody gets. And set aside comments made by expressly partisan guests, whether they were in support or opposition to the Trump administration. Instead, they only recorded evaluated comments made by those whose role with the networks suggests they are to behave in a nonpartisan fashion, anchors, reporters, experts, etc. Okay. It says here, this is the same rubric by MRC graded the bias of networks covering who? Joey. President Joe Biden in 2021, and of networks covering Trump during his first term in 2017. And based on the data, Trump's coverage has been even more negative during his second term than his first one. MRC analysts have tallied 1,841 explicitly evaluated statements about President Donald Trump and in the Trump administration, of which 1,698, which is 92.2%, were negative. A mere 143 were positive. Folks, in 100 days, 3 of the biggest news outlets, and for those on audio, I put that in air quotes for you because, look, they're not big. Folks, some of these, Nick at Night, y'all remember Nickelodeon? Nick at Night gets more viewership than some of these outlets do. In prime time, by the way. Nick at Night's when we're all sleepy, right? Oh, we're going bye-bye like Joey. Good night. Nick at Night, when everybody's sleeping, gets more viewership than some of these outlets do during their primetime broadcast. In 100 days, 143 statements were made that were positive. Only 143. Folks, a statement is like a sentence. Out of a... That's wild, man. But what I've seen, if you're curious why I'm also bringing this up, is I watch a lot and I listen to a lot of other podcasts throughout the day, late at night. I listen to a lot of podcasts, you guys. What I'm hearing from the Democrats, and that's why I always reiterate, oh, this is what Democrats are saying, this is what leftists are saying. It's because I've listened to other people's shows and podcasts, leftists as well, progressives, Democrats. And what I saw them saying was, well, the media are on Trump's side. The media are going with Trump. It wasn't exactly explicitly that, but it was along those lines that the media is out there basically rubbing the shoulders of Donald Trump. This is fantasy land, folks. This is, I know when I say fantasy, none of you are surprised. I understand that. These are people that think they can transition and shapeshift, basically. Can we start, maybe we should start doing that, calling transition people not trans, but shapeshifters. That's what you are. Don't come at me. You shapeshifted. You can't change your gender. So you didn't transition to anything. You didn't transition. You shapeshifted. You lopped off your pee-pee and you cut off your genitals. You put on some makeup. You distorted yourself through estrogen or testosterone. You changed the makeup composition of how your body functions properly. You're that's what you are. You're a shapeshifter. That's what I'm calling them. From now on, I'm moving forward, shapeshifters. If you're not here to the new, transition people are shapeshifters. Here we go. Somebody asked, are you going to cover Trump's 100th day speech? I can. Let me know when that is. I don't know when his 100th day speech is. If it's tonight, we will do it. That's for sure. We're doing Dark MAGA tonight, folks. So join us, please. We'll be on everything. Rumble, X, and YouTube. We'd love for you to join us. It's a little bit more spicier, a little bit more crazy. So the biggest takeaway, according to the report, was a dramatic shift from the 59% positive coverage the same 3 networks offered President Joe Biden. So almost 60% positive coverage of Joe Biden. Trump didn't even get 8%. Come on. If you guys want to read that article, I'll send it to you, get more numbers. They talk about Doge and stuff like that as well, but I'll give you guys the article. I can't give that. All right. Well, if you're over at YouTube, that's how scummy YouTube is. You can't even send somebody a big article. That's over at the Daily Wire if you're curious. That's what it looks like. Major network coverage. You just Google that. Put the title in there so you guys copy and paste it. There you go. All righty, moving on. Now, that's no shock to any of us. And, well, neither is this. So with that negative news coverage comes with a bunch of hoaxes and a bunch of lies and a bunch of misinformation. I'm going to go out and say as far as disinformation. Now, what's the difference? A lot of people actually don't know the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is where you misinform somebody unknowingly. And that happens actually quite often. And what do I mean by that? Let's say I give you a statistic and I'll say 60% of people love the Bald Brad Show. And I was rambling on about that 60%, how people love the show, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe unbeknownst to me, there was new data that came out and I wasn't aware of it, hence unbeknownst. And it says, well, it's actually 30% now. Love the Bald Brad Show. That'd be misinformation because I misinformed you with the wrong data when there's new data out there. And that's why I say this happens all the time. The media does this. And when you do misinformation, that's not intentional, by the way. That just happens. Disinformation is what's intentional. One second, folks. That is what is intentional. That is where you are knowingly putting out false information in the hopes of crafting a narrative or changing the perception of a group of people. And that's exactly what the mainstream media is doing with Donald Trump's coverage. 92% negative. These are the same people that just the other day were saying that they missed the mark on Joey's cognitive health. They missed the mark. Yeah, they made an oopsie. We lost American trust is what they said. We covered this last morning because they talked about it during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You didn't miss the mark. You knowingly didn't cover it because you were covering up the president's cognitive decline because it was that bad and it makes you look bad that you voted for somebody that's basically this jar. This is Joey. This is Joey's brain function right here in one jar. Folks, I've never told you this. Now, you know that we're a small channel. I get that some people don't want to believe me that we know people in that White House press briefing room. I talk to them. Not a lot, but I talk to some people in that room. The people that are asking the questions, sitting down in those damn chairs. You're not supposed to swear to the Lord. Hand to God, if I had a Bible in my office right now, my office. Oh, my office. What the fuck am I talking about? It's my closet. You know, if I had a Bible in my luxurious office in here, I am touching the walls, okay? The hell am I talking about? Try to sound bougie. Hey, office. I don't have an office. Anyways, what was I even talking about? Oh, yeah, people in that room. So I talk to them. Really do. I asked them early on, and I said, why are not any of you asking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline like every day? That's like, it's obvious. One of the reasons I was told was because if you ask one of those questions, you know you're not going to get an answer. They're just going to completely dodge it. And two, they're not going to call on you for a while. So you basically shot yourself in the foot where your job by your employer is to go in that room and ask questions from the media's perspective, meaning that outlet's perspective. Now, that's not how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to be asking questions on the perspective of the American people. We all know that doesn't happen. So that's what I was told, is they don't want to ask those questions, some of them. And these are good people that I talk to, by the way. This isn't the freaking Caitlin Collins crap people. I understand their perspective, that they couldn't ask those questions because then they would be, quote, in the doghouse. They'd be screwed. You're in the penalty box, and you're not going to get any questions in. Okay. So that's what they were pushing. They didn't want to talk about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, the fact that this guy has the brain power of an ant. Well, on Monday, White House Press Secretary Caroline said it's about time that the legacy media admitted to being part of one of the greatest cover-ups due to their reluctance to the report of President Joe Biden's mental acuity. Now, for those that have been listening to me for years, that phrase, I'm going to go back to that. The phrase here, one of the greatest cover-ups. Do you think I've said that a few times years ago? And I didn't say one of the greatest cover-ups. I said you are looking at the greatest cover-up in American history. FDR's polio is nothing compared to Joe Biden's cognitive decline. So we're going to see this again today during Dark MAGA. Again, we're going to have Dark MAGA at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to put that in there, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because some people get confused. And it's going to be open to everybody. So come and hang out with us. Come join us. If you're confused about how Dark MAGA works compared to the Bald Brad Show, in the mornings, we go over a bunch of different articles, right? We go over minimum 10 articles every single morning, major headlines that you need to know about going into your day. Whether you're jumping into another podcast, you'll be informed. Whether you're going to go just listen to other news, whereabouts, doesn't matter. Dark Mag is more long form. We will watch hour-long videos, 30 minutes, 45 hour, multiples of them, and we'll sit down and watch the entire thing. So we don't go over a ton of different news, but we go over more long-form style videos, which I really appreciate, and allows us to take a moment to really appreciate the work of the White House, but also we get more information that way. Brad, if you come out of the closet, save it for Dark MAGA, damn you guys.
Thompson said at the White House Correspondents' Center, and I'm going to read his quote, "President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of the party, is capable of deception. We, myself..." I just got to go back for a second. I've been wanting to comment on this for weeks. Look, this guy's a great reporter. I don't know his name, but it is always, he just looks like he got stung by a bee. He looks like he's having an allergic reaction. I don't mean to beat up on a guy's looks because you can't really fix it. You know, I can't make myself unbald. I suppose I can grow my hair out. It just wouldn't look good. But it just looks like he got stung by a bee. You know, he ate like shellfish. That every White House, regardless of the party, is capable of deception. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. Can you comment on those remarks and whether you agree with that assessment?
I do agree with that assessment from Alex Thompson, who I understand won an award for writing a story months and perhaps years after the American people already knew that story to be true. Millions of Americans watched our mentally incompetent president struggle with his day-to-day duties of this office. We watched our country be ran into the ground as a result, and nobody in the media wanted to write about that, talk about it. There were many reporters, I will say, right-leaning reporters who did talk about that, who didn't get awards, didn't get coverage. In fact, they were lambasted for their coverage. And I remember being on President Trump's campaign, talking about Joe Biden's clear mental incompetence and being accused by people in this room of manufacturing deep fake videos, trying to persuade the public into not believing what they saw with their own eyes for many years. And I think it's about time the legacy media finally admits that was one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals that ever took place in American history, and certainly it did contribute to the decline in the trust that Americans have for the legacy media.
I was going to save this for tonight, but I want to comment on it now because I don't want to forget about it. She needs to go harder in the paint here. She's doing a good job. Please don't feel like I don't think she's doing a good job. What I mean by going harder in the paint is you have people in that room that are still there from the previous administration. There's some new people. There's some new faces. What you need to do is you don't even need a big piece of paper. You already know the media outlets that are going to go against you on this, right? ABC, NBC, the Associated Press, CNN, hell, I can list them off. I'm not even there. It's not even my damn job, but I can do it. I already know the people in that front row that are going to call her out in some way, shape, or form against the Trump administration. You need to have those quotes. You only need a half a piece of paper, the exact quotes of them covering up Joe Biden cognitive decline. And that's all you need to keep her, and call them out by name. She should have been calling people out by name right there. Caitlin Collins, you did it. You know, freaking Zeke Miller of the Associated Press, you did it. this whole front row, go by the name and just go down the list right here. You didn't want to cover it. Hey, why don't you take a moment here to tell the American people why you didn't want to talk about it? Oh, no answer? Perfect. What about you? And just spend the briefing calling out people in front of the American public about that. I don't know why she's going so soft on these people, because that's not what Kayleigh McEnany did. Kayleigh went out went just full force. Basically, what I'm seeing here is an upgraded version. This is going to sound very insulting, but I don't mean it to be. A very upgraded version of Karine Jean-Pierre. And what do I mean by that? Karine Jean-Pierre was very good at, one, not answering questions. Caroline does that. Caroline actually answers questions. But here's where the mixture is going to come in. Karine Jean-Pierre was very good at talking about Joe Biden's accomplishments. I'm putting that in air quote because a lot of people listen, and I signify that on audio. Okay, so you can't see me doing the air quotes. You're going to be like, what do you mean accomplishments? Brad, what are you talking about? What are you sipping on this morning? There wasn't any accomplishments. But she made it seem like there was. And she was very good at always reiterating those accomplishments. That is exactly what Caroline Leavitt's doing here. She's just reiterating Donald Trump's accomplishments. I don't blame her for that. When you have a 92% negative coverage from the three networks, ABC, CBS, and I think the other one was NBC or whatever, you have to put out that messaging. I get it. But you can also extend your briefings longer than 30 minutes to where you can fight the media and call out their lies and their negative coverage and start calling out people in that room. You just saying the media is too broad. Kayleigh McEnany didn't just go, well, the media. No, she called people out. She said the outlets' names, the reporters' names, and lastly, she had the quotes right in front of her. I'm going to be hard on her, you guys, because this is not the way I expected these briefings to be ran. I thought she was going to come out after 4 years. The amount of ammo you have here is so insane, and you're not using any of it. You should be just smacking these people upside their head every briefing. You should be calling out their lies every briefing. Why do you also need to do that? And please don't feel like I'm lecturing you guys. I know that you know this. It's a way for me to vent. I'm expressing myself. The reason why you need to do that is because of the negative 92% of what these outlets are doing. So why is it that, yes, you're going to talk about the accomplishments of Donald Trump? That's great. But their voice is way bigger than yours is. Nobody watches C-SPAN, you guys. How many of you after work go, you know what? Let me flip on the old television. Let me put on C-SPAN. People fall asleep to C-SPAN. You need to do a better job of calling people out. If I was there, I'd tell her. If I was there, she's not going harder. She needs to be way harder in the paint. Now, we will see that entire press briefing, so I'm sure I'll have quite a bit to say today after work, 4 p.m. I keep saying it because I really want you guys there hanging out with me. But Tom Homan was there, which is the other reason why I want to check it out as well. Biden, first president to intentionally leave border unsecure. We did highlight this slightly. So Tom Homan was there, and I want to see if it should come up here. I don't know why it's not showing up for me. Let me see if I can get it for you guys. Here we go. He was talking about that very thing that, he just left the border open on purpose. And we know this, but the media didn't want to cover it. And this is where Tom should have came out and started calling out actual media outlets. Do your research. It doesn't even mean Caroline has to be the one doing the research. She has an entire team behind her. Hey, you focus on CNN quotes. Hey, you focus on AP's quotes. Hey, you focus on CBS, ABC, go boom, boom, bing, bing, and just have all the people, and you got a list of quotes and just go down the line. Just bow, bow, bow. By the way, you see this right here? You know what that is? That's a TV screen. They got one here and one right here. Play the clips of the actual people in the fucking room and just, I don't know. Why is this hard? I'm in a closet. You guys are wherever you're at. Maybe somebody else is in the closet. Hell, I don't know. Somebody's all tied up in their room. Help me, fuck, I need help. What? You understand what I mean? It's not difficult to smack the media around. Let's use these. Look, we paid for this shit. We paid for these TV screens. Let's use them.
for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president ever worked for took border security seriously, because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came in office and unsecured a border on purpose. That's just a fact. We handed the Biden administration, after President Trump's first administration, we handed the Biden administration the most secure border in my lifetime, and he unsecured it on purpose. I work for...
Yeah, well, the media doesn't care, Tom. Nobody cares other than the Republicans and conservatives that actually want to make America great again, while Democrats want to destroy it. And they're still actively trying to destroy it. It's like trying to crawl through mud with Donald Trump. I'm not hounding him. I'm saying that he is struggling right now to get things figured out and fixed, because you have an entire part of this country that is actively going against not just the president, but the president who is trying to carry forward the will of the people. Now you guys understand why I said early on that I don't think Trump can do all this in 4 years. I said that early on, before he was even elected. When he was running, I said, I don't think this guy has the time to do it in 4 years. And this is where I'm going to smack you guys around a little bit. I'm coming at you. I'm coming at you. Some of you were saying, oh, now he'll be able to do it in 4 years. No, he could maybe. And by the way, I will eat my words if I am wrong. I've always said that. I would rather you guys be right, because you guys are more optimistic than me. I'm a pessimist, man. I'm like a negative Nancy. You guys are positive pennies, which I appreciate. I need those people around me, by the way. That's why I need you guys. I need you guys around me, because you're way more positive about things than I am. And I appreciate that, by the way, because that challenges my thinking on, well, the Patriots are saying this. They must know something that I don't. I need to reevaluate my thinking. That's why I think it's so important you guys hop in the chat and write what you truly think. Because one of the reasons why I started the show was, to get my voice out. I've always wanted to do this. I have fun doing it. But if you go back, I've actually talked about this many, many times, like 4 years ago. I'm able to see myself change doing this show. I'm able to challenge my thinking. I'm going to say stupid things. We all say stupid shit, right? It's just the difference is I'm on camera live doing it and it's being recorded. But what that allows me to do is go back and go, was that even a right thing to say? Was I stupid in saying that? And fix my mistakes. A lot of people just don't broadcast their stupid shit that they say. Right? We do it at home, or we say things we don't mean all the time. But it allows me to change and hopefully be a better person. And that's where you need people with you as well that are going to call you out. Thought there's a bug. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Thought there was a bug down there. Oh, I dropped something. This is where I need you guys to, really voice your opinion. Don't call me stupid, but you know what I mean. Go in there and say what you feel, and it challenges my thinking. It really does. I take what you guys say to heart. Not all of you, because some of you guys are crazy, but I love you for your craziness. Okay. You're crazy, some of you, but I love you for it. I love you for it. Speaking of people that are crazy, there's the transition for you. There's the transition. You have what I'm about to show you, I don't know what this is. It looks like a cartoon character, but Democrats have unveiled 7 articles of impeachment against Trump. Here we are again. Folks, I told you these people are insane. Look at what Canada is doing. Look what any Democrat is doing in the country. They're just going in a vicious circle. They don't know what to do. They walk around, they'll ram their head into the wall, and then they'll go back, and then they'll come forward again, ram their head against the wall again, and they'll stumble, right? They'll try to figure out, whoa, what should happen? And then they, boom. And that's what they do. So on Monday, a House Democrat, I don't know I shouldn't be talking about anybody's hair. Look, I used to have lavish hair, folks. My hair used to be so sexy. I don't even know if this is real hair. I think it might be real hair, just not his. I don't know what the hell's going on here. On Monday, a House Democrat introduced 7 articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump, kicking off a bid that has virtually no chance of succeeding in a Republican-led Congress. This is just a way for this individual that nobody knew about before this, that's clearly either just got out of the shower, is super sweaty. I don't know what's going on with this guy, just to get his name out there. Well, he accused Trump of high crimes and misdemeanors. Doesn't want to do it with Joey. Oh no, didn't want to talk about Joey's high crimes and misdemeanors. What would those might be? I don't know. Just somehow getting a lot of money from China, Romania, Ukraine, the business dealings, the checks coming in to his brother, James Biden, into Joe Biden's bank account. You know, all the money laundering that's taking place. Somehow the guy has all these houses, even though he hasn't done anything his entire life. His family, I guess, knows everything about natural gas and energy and all those other things. And I guess they know a lot about artwork, since Hunter Biden's work was just selling left and right. Also, how about the high crimes and misdemeanors of you not securing the border and allowing terrorists to enter in the country, and you actually harboring them, which we know about? Wouldn't that be treason? But no impeachment's there. Yeah, nobody wanted to talk about that. But here we are again. Over alleged constitutional violations related to taxpayer funds, deportations, tariffs, Department of Government efficiency effort led by Elon Musk, retaliation against press, and others. So it's just like, let's throw something at the dartboard here and see what lands. President Donald Trump has repeatedly demonstrated that he is unfit to serve as president. The irony in this statement is remarkable. Folks, walk into a Democrat's house, walk into any Democrat politician's mansion, you're not going to find a mirror. There is no self-reflection taking place here. Donald Trump has repeatedly demonstrated he is unfit to serve. Hello? You voted for Joey. You voted for Joe Biden, a guy that has the brain span and the attention span of a gnat. You voted for that guy. You voted for a guy that wanders off. You voted for a guy that fell up a flight of stairs, not once, not twice, so many times that it was a hazard. Donald Trump actively has people trying to assassinate him. Joe Biden's teleprompter and staircases were trying to assassinate him. Joe Biden couldn't go up a flight of stairs. So bad that they actually started giving him the short staircase to get on Air Force One. In my lifetime, I never saw a president take the short staircase ever. I thought they were going to start getting an elevator that will hit the tarmac, and then it will actually bring Joe Biden up into like an elevator, basically, because he can't go upstairs. This is a guy that looked for dead people in the crowd. Joey was actively looking for people that have passed on into the other realm. It was so bad that he came out and said that I'm taking photos with people at events, never there in the first place, never was at the event, never heard about the event, wasn't even in the same state as Joe Biden. This is a guy that hit a golf ball backwards. None of you will ever see that in your lifetime. He hit a golf ball fucking backwards. I don't know how you do that, but we saw the tape of it. This is a guy that was actively talking to dead people. So yes, he was looking for dead people. Well, he found them. Actively talking to leaders of the various countries that are dead. Not just for 5 years, not just like 48 hours ago. You're like, yeah, he didn't know. 40 years dead. You voted for him. And he wasn't just seeing them. Joe Biden is so close to death, he's like spilling into the heavenly realm, or the other realm, if that's what you want to go with, based on your thinking about Joe Biden. He was tapping into the spiritual realm. That's how so far gone Joey is, that he was conversations, getting wisdom from the spiritual realm of the dead. He wanders off. He thought he was running for the Senate during his campaign. He thought Kamala Harris was the president at times. He thought he was still the vice president at times. He thought Barack Obama was the president of the United States at various times. Fumbled through his words. His teleprompter went undefeated for 4 years. I mean, does the list go on and on here, Patriots? You voted for him. Not you, Patriots, but the left did. But he's unfit. Yeah, Donald Trump's unfit, but Joey isn't. And represents a clear and present danger to our nation's constitution and democracy. But the guy that was given billions of dollars, 10 billions of your cash to the Iranians that would shore up their budget to give more money to terrorism out there, that wasn't a present danger to our nation's constitution or democracy, or the fact that Joe Biden wanted to put forth what was called the Ministry of Truth to chisel away at your First Amendment rights. And he didn't just stop there. He was also the guy that wanted to lock up your pastor and you as a congregation member for serving to your Lord and Savior each and every Sunday, and maybe Wednesdays if you're going then as well, out there in broad daylight, or darkness out there, just out there in the ether during COVID. Yeah, it was that guy that wanted to do it. It was also that guy that wanted to remove and censor conservatives utilizing big tech, which we saw come out from Facebook, who was being told by Joe Biden's FBI to censor all of you fine people. Yeah, it was that guy that was going against the Constitution. Oh, it was also the guy, yeah, Joe Biden was also the guy here that wanted to chisel away at your Second Amendment rights. It says the word fucking infringe. You don't have a right to infringe on my Second Amendment rights. That's a fancy way of saying you're not supposed to implement anything that's going to chisel away at my right to bear arms. That's exactly what they're doing. They are chiseling away at your right to bear arms. I've always said this is not going to happen overnight. They're not going to take away your firearms overnight. This is a slow moving process of just how the Chinese Communist Party works, where it's a decades maneuver where it's kind of like your thumbnail, right? It's going to be a really weird analogy, but it makes sense. You don't look at your thumbnail and just one day you look down and the thing is long and it's grown. That's what she said. But it's there and you got to trim it. That's exactly what they're doing here as a Democrat Party. I don't know if you noticed, they are slowly, ever so slowly, chiseling away at your rights to the point where somebody in the future, and Americans, going to have to decide whether that right is actually still there or it's not. How about that being a constitutional danger and present danger to our democracy as well? His unlawful actions have subverted the justice system, violated separation of powers, and placed personal power and self-interest above public service. He's going to lecture us on that. Gotcha. We cannot wait for more danger to be done. Congress must act. But it wasn't danger when Joe Biden allowed 10 million people, thousands upon thousands of criminals, violent gang members, sex traffickers, drug traffickers, the whole thing. So here's this guy. I need to be as sincere as I possibly can be. Not that I'm not always anyways. I thought this was an SNL sketch. You're going to laugh your ass off here, listening and looking at this guy. Those eyebrows, that's how ladies do their eyebrows, gentlemen. Okay. My eyebrows are not penciled in. You see that? My eyebrows are long and bushy. I don't do nothing like that. Look at that. You can see the redness. Look at that eye right there. Oh my God. I don't know what's going on with this guy. That don't look like real hair to me. Well, I'm gonna shut up. I'll let him talk, but this is real.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous.
How many times do you think the Slurpee machine kicked on in the background? Hey, did I turn that off? Look at it, man.
Deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining.
You don't know this yet, but he's actually sitting at the cashier stand. And you know those old like projector screens that used to come down when we were kids? That's what this is in the background. Just like pulling down the projector screen. It's just
7 articles of impeachment. Article 1, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump.
Right? Doesn't this seem like SNL? Somebody write in the chat. I'm not exaggerating. When somebody played this yesterday, I was listening to a podcast. Hand to God, I thought this was fake.
Defied court orders.
I mean, it looks like an SNL wig, dude.
Article 2, taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission.
I can't do it. There's folks, it goes on for another 2 minutes. No way can I subject you to that type of torture, folks. I love you too much for that, okay? Not all the time, but most of the time. So that's what's going on with that. Holy Lordy. Oh, let's get into a little bit of breaking news here. Let's see. I got a lot of stuff I want to cover with you guys. So that's what here you go. Speaking of the negative coverage, CNN ratings disaster, primetime audience tumbles below 500,000 just to bring the receipts for all of you. Oh, I love it. Folks, there's more. Dan Bongino used to get half of this, and he's on freaking Rumble. CNN's primetime ratings on Wednesday dipped below 500,000 viewers, with less than 100,000 of those coming from the 25 to 54-year-old demographic. CNN's ratings dipped below 500,000 after 9 p.m. on Wednesday evening during The Source with Caitlin Collins. Can you believe that? I can't even believe she got these numbers. She is not good. She's not good at all. She sucks. Somebody has to tell her that. Somebody needs to tell her that she sucks. By the way, a lot of potential. That's the tough thing. I'm willing to accept that there's a lot of potential there for her to be an actual journalist, what she probably went to school for, and do a great job by just calling out things that you see that are news, not the biased stuff, just reporting on the news. Collins only polled 464,000 total viewers, while Newsnight with Abby Phillip in 10 p.m. hour slot, followed by 459,000. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Brad, that's really late at night. Folks, first of all, this is Eastern Standard Time. So everybody's in bed, turning on their TV, watching Sean Hannity, right? The old school Tucker Carlson back in the day, stuff like that. This is where people are turning in. They fall asleep to watching the news or the TV or whatever. On the West Coast, this is 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. This is primetime hour. Abysmal ratings, dude. Anderson Cooper was the only primetime CNN performance with over 500,000 viewers, polling 535,000. Oh, Lord, it's terrible. Terrible. I don't know who that is. That's fake, but it looks good. The best hour on CNN was still behind MSNBC's worst hour and far below worst hour on Fox News. So Fox is crushing it. CNN ain't, because nobody trusts them. They're garbage. They're garbage. Ain't nobody got time for that. Exactly right. I agree. You should be America. I will assume he has double citizenship. I think there's a case to be made. And let me know what you guys actually think in the chat. I heard this case being made a while ago that there's a good conversation to be had that you shouldn't be allowed to have dual citizenship. The reason why is because you have pledged an allegiance to the United States of America, meaning that is who you are with. That is the side that you would die for. But if you have dual citizenship, how is it you're able to pledge the allegiance to two countries? By the way, there's some people that are Chinese Americans that have immigrated here from China that have dual citizenship. So they have citizenship in China and they have citizenship here in the United States. If we were to go to war, I think there's a really great question and conversation. Well, who would your allegiance be with? And I think there's a great conversation to be had in that because of what you're seeing right now with all these people. Well, I'm European American because my father's from Germany. And I'm Italian American because my mom's from Italy. Guess what? My dad is from England. I don't say I'm an English American. I don't say I'm a European American. My dad was a fucking immigrant. Actually came here the right way. I'm an American. I pledge my allegiance to this country. A lot of people go, well, Brad, why don't you travel the world? Why don't you see the things out there? Because I live on the best soil this planet has to offer. I don't find the need to have to go to other countries. Will I at some point, like maybe Egypt or the historical sites? Absolutely. I don't find the need to want to go walk around France. I don't find the need to walk around England, United Kingdom. Why? Nothing is better than what I have here. Because if it was, I would be there. Now, I'm not harping any of those that want to travel. Totally get it. I love this country. I'm an American. My allegiance is here. Every morning at work, I'm the only person to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to say that again and clearly. In my room, out of 32 other people that are in that room with me every morning, in about an hour, I will be saying it. I am the only person to say the Pledge of Allegiance out loud in full form. We have a problem in this country where people don't value this country. We've allowed a lot of people in this country and have grown up in this country by those that have immigrated here and also those that haven't, that don't want to assimilate to our values, that think we're a despicable country, and they're going to try to tear it apart from the inside out. And I believe that so much so that I actually wrote an entire book on it. That's not a shameful plug. I really wrote a book on that because I firmly believe that the left is trying to destroy this country from the inside out. And it wasn't like they just like, it popped in their head, be like, oh, let's do. They've seen it done throughout history. They've seen it done many of times. Here's the link to, I guess I'll just go to Amazon. Here's the link. Guys, get yourself a copy. Always appreciate your support. Might as well give myself the shameless plug. It's on sale right now, almost 50% off on Kindle, by the way. They're destroying this country from the inside out. We have a massive problem, a generational problem, because the kids nowadays and the generations before, even the tail end of my millennial, I'm a millennial, even the tail end of my generation, if you look at the distribution curve, is not a big fan of the United States of America because they were indoctrinated their entire life. You should be pledging allegiance to this country that you live in, not the country you fucking left from. And that's why you got all these people waving the Mexican flag and all their other flags from their country. I'm so proud of it. Then go fucking live there. If you're so proud of it, go live there. You're not. And that's why you don't live there, because some countries are shitholes. And you get, remember when Donald Trump said that? But it's true. By the way, there's some localities in the United States that are complete shitholes. Los Angeles is one of them. That's why I don't live there. That's why I live in Orange County. I don't live in LA County because LA County is a crap hole. Literally crap everywhere. I should plug myself more, but people get upset when I plug myself. Now, was that a sexual reference, Lulu? Now that I said it out loud? I don't think I might have been wrong here. It could go both ways. And that's what she said. Anyways, I think we'll end it there. Karen, I did get your email, by the way. Bets and a few other people I need to email as well. We're going to add, I think, a few more moderators. Pat and I think Jeff I'm going to talk to. So Pat, Jeff, email me. I can only have so many. And Bets, if you're interested. But Karen, I got your email. I just have the email back. I'm lazy. With that being said, we're doing Dark MAGA tonight. Well, geez, I cut out right there. I felt, holy shit. I felt like Mitch McConnell. Did you guys see that? I completely like. I will be back at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for all you fine patriots. We'll be doing Dark MAGA. We have the hat queued up. We'll be going over the White House press briefing. I also want to go over like a 20-minute plus clip of Stephen Miller fighting off the press. So that will be fun. So come join us tonight. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a real good time. I'll be live and I might be going a little bit early, but come check me out. Not, you know what I mean? And glitched. Yeah. Hold on. And yeah, so I'll see you guys tonight. Should we raid somebody? Let's raid somebody real quick. Hold on. No. Everybody go to Rumble. We got to raid. We got to plug the show. I don't think we got much of a highlight from Sean yesterday. I saw somebody else raided right after us. Let's try to do this. Oh, is she already off? Oh, she's gone. Okay. Who should we raid here? Trying to see in the chat. Anybody have good people that we should raid? We're like one of the only few like morning shows. We could do Steve Bannon's War Room. Let's just do this. I'm trying to see. But come over to Rumble if you guys can. Maybe we should do a smaller creator. I should be really quicker with this, but there's just nobody that does like political news shows in the morning like us. We'll do Kyle's show. I don't think Kyle really sees our stuff, but we could plug it. We could plug our show in his, and we'll do that. Patriots, I will see you in a few hours. We're going to head over to the Kyle Sefrin show. I believe we rated him before. I'll see you guys later.